dude. Let's do this. Jackie Robinson Day. It's the 74th anniversary. It's Jackie Robinson Day 74, even though they've been counting it since 2004. I start in 1947. So it's 74. It's reverse. Yeah, the reverse. Yeah, you know what I meant. It's honest to God, it's my favorite regular season baseball day of the year. I love this man with all my heart. He means the world to me. He's like a hero of mine. I just like it's one of the things that baseball does right. It's like one of the things that the regular baseball season does right. I just love it so much.
Does it happen to have like anything to do with him going to UCLA?
Here's the thing. 4-star athlete.
Let's get into it.
4-star athlete. Grew up in Pasadena, born in Cairo, Georgia. Whatever. Not a big deal. He grew up in the city, that UCLA happens to play in, or the football team has to play in, which he happened to be a part of. You know what? It just adds to it, to be honest with you. It does on like the little, like, because he plays for the Dodgers. You know what I mean? Like, he plays for the. How crazy would it be though if I was like, fuck Jackie Robinson, he played for the Dodgers? Because he was a Dodger player. I would. You can't communicate with a person like that.
No,
I would fuck guys like that. Fuck people like that. I don't know anybody. Is there can't be anybody who
that just blindly hates the rival team's players, no matter how great or whatever they were.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, you're psychotic. You're a serial killer if you hate Jackie Robinson. Like, I wouldn't understand how or why you would hate him. And by the way, have you been to his house in Pasadena?
No.
Yeah, I think it's still up. I went in 2010, and I was working in Pasadena in college.
Yeah.
Looks old, but it's still there. It's pretty cool. It's not much. It's just like a 1-2 bedroom house, one floor. But you kind of feel like some sense of importance when you're there. You're like, oh man, this is where like you mentioned, this guy was a 4-sport athlete, and he was like a stud at all of them.
Letterman, all of them.
And what's weird is like baseball wasn't even his sport in college. That came way later. He was only good at baseball like as a pro. But everything else he was in college, he was great at. And so it is really kind of ironic that he became like this icon. And then something I was looking up today that I thought was kind of funny is that he's buried in New York City, like really close to where Ebbets Field used to be, which is where the Brooklyn Dodgers used to play. And so, I mean, California kid, you wouldn't think that he'd be buried in New York City, but it just goes to show you how much he loved that team and how much they meant to him back then. So I thought that was pretty cool to see. That's definitely like a tourist spot that I'm trying to visit. So.
Oh yeah. I just want to say I found this nugget out. First player since Moses Fleetwood. The first black player. Moses Fleetwood was the first technically black player to play in 1884. I don't know what happened, but it wasn't good. That's all I know after that. But I just want to try to contextualize this moment for just a little bit and kind of just talk about like what it meant, in that moment. It like this, he got like, like people will get death threats now, and it just kind of, you're like, all right, well, good luck trying to fucking find me and kill me, dude. Like, there's people who get death threats all the time. Like there's celebrities, but like this was in the time where people would just go out, and there were sunset towns, Sunset towns existed when Jackie Robinson played baseball, when he like broke the color barrier. And I think that's just like super important. Like Jim Crow was a thing still when he, it didn't end for a little bit, and he still played baseball. And it's just one of those things that I think I want to talk about. Like he still he went through the back. He had to do all those things. He couldn't walk through the front door and eat at the same restaurants or he had to walk through the back to eat in the back of the kitchen to eat at the restaurants. Like all these things, like it's like, it's unbelievable to me that he had the courage in a time where even now, like people are marginalized and oppressed, and specifically the black community is, but specifically in that moment, like there was no hope in sight. There was nothing that anybody thought could be done or changed. And Jackie Robinson was like, well, I'm gonna play baseball, and he handled it. And I just can't get over that. Like to do that in that time where death is an absolute possibility, where he could wake up and somebody could go over and shoot him in a time where people knew their neighbors very, very well. It's not like today, you know, where everybody's like, I don't know who fucking my neighbor is. I've never said anything to my neighbor at all. But in that time, word of mouth can come around. Hey, Jackie Robinson lives over there. And he faced death threats. Henry Aaron, the great Henry Aaron, faced death threats when he was, approaching Babe Ruth throughout his whole career. It's just
20 years later.
20 years later, it's just an unbelievable thing to me. And it's just like, I just love him so dearly and everything that he represents. And I just wanted to contextualize that.
The movie 42 does a pretty good job of summarizing kind of his ascension from Montreal to Brooklyn, and how and why he was the one kind of scouted the way he was. I mean, he wasn't the best player in the Negro Leagues, but he was kind of like the best all around. I guess what they were looking for is like a gentleman, someone well spoken who could learn not to fight back at a time like you had mentioned. Everyone is, just pitted against him.
He didn't say anything for 2 years.
Yeah,
he didn't do anything for 2 years. He didn't say anything. And
some of his own teammates didn't want him on the team, which I can't imagine the kind of the locker room is supposed to be like your sacred place. We all got each other here. We're all brothers, and to not even have it there, I just don't know. Like you mentioned, I don't know how he did it, dude. Honestly, at a time where 30 years later, with Willie Mays and Hank Aaron going through all of that with all their accomplishments and every record that they broke in the future, they were going through it. And he was the start of all that, which is completely crazy.
It's bananas.
To see how much he accomplished. And like we mentioned earlier, baseball wasn't even his best sport, and he was just kicking everyone's ass, stealing all the bases, playing the best defense. And to the point we were making earlier, he retired because he got traded to the Giants. He got traded to the Giants and straight up retired. He was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And that's one of the reasons, like top 12 of the reasons why he's awesome, but it's up there for sure.
Yeah. And I still adore him. My favorite athlete of all time is Bill Russell. Besides Muhammad Ali, those are my 1A and 1A. I don't even say one is 1B. I refuse. Bill Russell's a Celtic, and to this day I love him dearly. I even tweeted out an appreciation thread of just photos of Bill Russell because I saw him take the vaccine, and I was just looking at him and I was just man, I love you, dude. Not even because he did the whole vaccine, which everyone should do it and all that good stuff, but just every time I see his face, and that dude's a Celtic, Yeah. But it's just funny. It's just funny how those things goes. These are some Jackie Robinson fun facts. Okay. Second lieutenant in the Army. His brother Mac Robinson. Do you know this?
I heard his brother was good at track athlete. An
Olympic silver medalist in the 36 games, beat out by Jesse Owens.
Who's that guy? I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah. Can you imagine? It's in the Robinson blood to look racism in the eye and tear it down. It's just part of the Robinson blood.
Was that the Olympics? It was held in Berlin, in Germany?
Yeah.
Oh, man, talk about odds against you.
The Robinson family name looks racism in the eye, spits in it, puts it in the dirt, keeps it moving.
Yeah.
Imagine.
You're looking at Hitler. You're looking at Hitler's killed millions of people he didn't like. And they're like, no, I'm gonna stand right here and collect my gold or my medal.
Unreal, man. I gotta check out the house. It'd probably be one of those things where I cry and shit because I'm like that. Just be I'll be like, the house.
Yeah. And then someone's gonna come out excuse me, sir, can we help you?
Yeah, someone giant.
I think someone actively lived there when I went by it. I don't think it's really? A tourist spot. It's just in the middle of the neighborhood.
I thought it was.
Just saying, be careful.
Oh yeah. They'd be like, you could have been a giant. All he was saying, man was arrested in Pasadena, only blathering on that he could have been a giant. He could have been a giant. He could have been like Willie Mays.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're just gonna text me from prison or whatever.
Could have been a giant, dude.
Collect call coming from.
He could have been a giant. Do you accept?
Yeah, right.
All right, let's do some Dodgers Padres stuff because they're playing this weekend. Mm-hmm. It is the 1 and 2 of teams in the Major League Baseball.
I was going to say, in terms of odds makers pitted them as the 1 and 2 World Series, favorites, which is kind of a rare thing. 2 teams, same division. You don't really see that happen very often.
No.
I mean, I would, if I had the time, I'd go back and look to see. It's like you don't really have like Cowboys, Redskins, or Seahawks, Niners as like Super Bowl favorites in the same year, 1 and 2. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because it's pretty interesting that was going to happen. It's their first series of the season. There's a lot of talking going on already.
What's the talks? What's the haps? What's going on in the cooler?
So Dave Roberts earlier this week, he came out and said, "Hey, we're going to line up our best starters for this series starting tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday." And all offseason, the Padres have been making moves to kind of get to the Dodgers level. And so on, Padres fan Twitter, Dodgers fan Twitter, MLB Twitter has been going nuts because, just a lot of jabbering and, I can't wait till we face you. And then Roberts, didn't want to call it a rivalry like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Because he's like, the Padres haven't done anything. They just won the offseason. That's great, but that doesn't mean anything. Well, he finally kind of relinquished that and gave way and set up the schedule or set up the rotation to as if this is a big series. So he's acknowledging that the Padres are actually good, which we all know they're going to be good, and they are good. And so it's kind of a big thing that a lot of Padres fans were like, oh, so now we're a somebody. We're worthy of facing your best starters.
And Padres Twitter is kind of relentless, right?
Oh,
that's their thing.
Notch,
Padres Twitter is Seahawks Twitter, correct?
Yes, pretty much. And so that's been a big thing going over this week. And then when you look at it too, Roberts was pretty much just like, it's 50-50 competitiveness. And then the other half is we want to push our starters back a day and give them some rest because it's going to be a long year. I've been preaching about this since August, not only on this podcast, but to neighbors, to people on the street, to whoever wants to listen, that the innings thing in Major League Baseball this year is going to be a big issue. And so any rest you can get, extra day here, extra day there, that's what the Dodgers are also kind of using this for. We're going to push our 2 guys, Buehler and Kershaw, back to where they get 6 days, start every 6 days instead of the 5th.
Yeah.
For this time around. I'm not sure if they can do that in the future. And then Trevor Bauer's on regular rest, which, I think he's kind of a weird guy with his body. He's pretty in tune with what he wants. I think that's pretty normal. So I think he wants to stick to.
He's so weird.
And so the rumor is tomorrow that the Padres are starting some rookie, Ryan Weathers, not some rookie, first round pick a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Good kid. But I think he's maxed out at like 4 innings an appearance so far this early in the season. The Dodgers faced him in the division series last October in Arlington, whenever the playoffs started up back over there. And so it's the first time these 2 teams are meeting since that playoff series where the Dodgers swept them in 3. So it's going to be
very embarrassing for a chirpy team.
Yeah, it kind of was. But, I mean, you got new year, new season. A lot of people were saying the Dodgers title last year was illegitimate because it was a full season, which I argue, obviously. But
I'm a Dodger hater, but I joke around when I say all the shit I say about them. Should have won more. I mean, clearly, been the best team for a decade. Only have one, kind of a failure in my book. But that's besides the point. Here's the real point. It's like
the 2 World Series they lost were cheated.
Yeah, I mean, sure, whatever. I mean, baseball's a game of cheaters, anyways. But here's really the whole the season doesn't count thing. If you're serious about that, you're just a fucking loser. Like you can't you can't be serious about that and think that on any level. Like that's a thing you can just say and without being tongue in cheek. I don't get that. Like they played the games. It's not
like to your point. The Dodgers have not been successful in the postseason. They won it all. Although they were the most successful team in the regular season throughout this 10-year period or however long it's been. So my opinion is that they had nothing to prove in the regular season. So who gives a shit if it was 10 games, 60 games, 162 games? They don't care about that. No one cares about the regular season or should have. It was all postseason problems the Dodgers had all these years. Whether you incorporate the cheating or whatever, we've talked about way too much already, but they just needed to prove themselves in the postseason, and they did this time. And it just so happened to be the biggest postseason field of all time. Like, there was most teams that ever had made Major League Baseball's playoffs, and the Dodgers won that one. And so, if you want to go to regular season standings to postseason, the Dodgers went through they were the 1 seed, obviously, overall. They went through the 2 seed, the Rays, the best team in the AL in the World Series. They went through the 3rd best team, which the Padres last year, which was the 2nd best team in the National League, swept them. And then the Yankees were the 4, didn't make it to the World Series, so they couldn't play them. And the Braves were 5. So, and they took them on in the NLCS and beat them in 7, came back down 3-1. And so, in my opinion, they proved themselves. Now,
I mean, they obviously did.
That opinion changes a little bit. If they were like a one-off team, kind of like in basketball terms, like the Mavericks, like, you know how they were like a one-off team where like they only went to the finals at once, and then 5 years before or 5 years after or whatever, they weren't there. That kind of changes a little bit. The fact that the Dodgers were in the World Series 3 out of 4 years, kind of makes this one matter a little bit more, because that's all they really needed to do. Now, if they were, I don't know, the Phillies and hadn't made the World Series in 10 years, 12 years, or whatever, my feelings might have been different. But this was like the last kind of hill to climb for them. And so I think that changes everything. So this series, going back to the series this weekend, I think it's going to be a good tone setter to see how good are the Padres really, how well their offseason acquisitions kind of gel together and rise to the occasion against a really, really good team in the Dodgers. And the Padres right now, they just lost the midweek series to the Pittsburgh Pirates, 2-3. They won today, but they lost yesterday and the day before. And the Pirates happen to be drafting first overall, a couple months. Could be
they're just looking ahead. Could be the regular old trap game because they're excited. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming that Musgrove is pitching.
He's actually going to miss this series, which I was advocating for them to like going with the rest thing. Yeah, I was advocating. He pitched on Wednesday or yesterday. I wanted him to be pushed till tomorrow. So I was like, give Joe 2 extra days rest, and let's actually see if he can no-hit a good team. Because as you mentioned, he had a no-hitter last Friday in Arlington. Yeah. Same side of the same stadium where they got swept by the Dodgers. Their first visit back.
Let them know. Let them know. Remind them.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, it was cool to see. Turn into a Padres fan a little bit. It was cool to see the Padres get their first no hitter in franchise history, which is kind of insane because they've been around since the '60s.
Yeah, they got 31 hitters.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's like 27 dresses. They're the Katherine Heigl. They were the Katherine Heigl fucking baseball no hitters.
Yeah, man, it's just and what's kind of cool about this is the Joe Musgrove who pitched the no hitter. So I was watching it. So the Texas Rangers, full disclosure, Dallas. Everyone knows this already by now. My whole dad's side is Rangers fans. So my uncle texted me. He's like, "What the fuck? The Rangers are getting no hit right now? Of course they are." And I was like, "Oh, they're playing." In my head, I'm like, "Oh, it's the Padres are playing." Well, I gotta check this shit out. And so I tuned in like the 6th or 7th inning and was watching it all the way through, and a couple close calls, couple liners that were caught, third base, first base, for a couple of them. And the Musgrove hits, because he had a perfect game going up for most of this game, if not, almost all of it. And with 1 out in the 9th, he hits this guy. Or I'm mixing it up with Rodon. Yeah. No, he hits a guy in the 4th inning.
Yeah.
Joey Gallo. So it wasn't a perfect game.
What a name. That's a mobster's name. Like, there's Joey only Gallo. 2 things Joey Gallo does. Is a professional athlete or like murders people and buries them in the fucking marsh.
From Vegas, by the way.
There you go.
Played Little League with Bryce Harper, random fact.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Joey Gallo. And they're both fucking ginormous. Gallo's like 6'5", 6'6", and he plays right field. And then sometimes center field, which is absurd for a guy his size. But yeah, so Musgrove, local San Diego kid, Grossmont alum high school, which is like, 10 minutes from here, real close. I played baseball with a couple of his high school buddies on the weekends. We're actually having our first game on Sunday after about a year and
we're going to report about that. That's going to be something we talk about.
Yeah, so on Sunday I'll get some of his. On Sunday morning I'm playing with for my first game in 15 months, and so I'll have some insight on what his buddies think, but because they all went to high school together, and so that'll be cool. And he goes back to plays the alumni game every year, and so
That's
when
really cool.
Yeah, and so when Musgrove was traded to the Padres, I think it was in January, everyone was stoked. Everyone's like, "Hell yeah, Joe's coming home." And then everyone was like, please, warn, because obviously they know they don't have a no-hitter or a perfect game or anything like that. Before last Friday, they all wanted him to do it, and he did it. Unfortunately, it wasn't at home, which is the only shitty part. But they taxed up Texas pretty good. That series, they swept them out last weekend. And so now there's a mural on Grossmont High School of Joe Musgrove.
There you go. So, I mean, listen, if you throw a no and you don't have a mural up in the next 24 to 72 hours,
it was honestly it was.
You don't
Friday,
have a fan base.
It was a Friday game, and kids went back to school on Monday. I'm pretty sure it was done by Monday, so not even. It was like 48 hours.
You got to do it. Okay, so there are two no-nos. Let's talk about the second no-no. Carlos Rodon.
Mm-hmm.
He threw the White Sox 20th no-no, which is funny to me that they have like 20 and. In San Diego just got their first one. This is what I wanted to talk about for this one. This one I thought that was really interesting. He was one batter away from a perfect game. Okay,
two, yeah.
He's two batters away. Excuse me, that's right.
One out in the ninth, yeah.
1 out in the ninth, 2 batters away from a perfect game. He hit him in the heel, hits him in the heel, and then he's got to take base. And so it's the perfect game is gone, right? He still gets the no hitter, which is awesome. Which is, I mean. At this point, do you think, like, would you care? How much are you losing sleep over the perfect game, or are you?
It's still.
I think
cool,
there's two types of people. There's people who lose sleep over the perfect game, and then there's guys like me who are like, still got hit no hitter, that fucking dude, like whatever.
I'm probably not like the best person to ask this because I lost no hitter in Little League in a very dramatic way.
Oh, that's right.
I'm pretty sure I've talked about this on Twitter before. But anyone who's listening, I think
most dramatic sports story.
Yeah. So Little League goes only like 5 innings, I think. 5 or 6, I can't remember. Pretty sure it's 5, and the high school is 7.
I thought Little League went 7. No, 6. Little League 6.
Is it 6? Okay.
Little League
so
6.
It's going to make me look better. Who cares? Because I know it was the last inning. And so I'm pitching. I have 13 strikeouts, which was my league's record at the time. And then my brother's friend broke that record like 2 years later. I think he got 14. But anyway, so I'm pitching, and I grew a little faster than most of the kids.
Were you that one Dominican kid?
Yeah, no, I was the tall kid that like everyone was afraid of.
But do you remember that Dominican kid from the Little League World Series? Were you Danny Almonte?
I wasn't left-handed, but yeah, I was pretty much that guy. And so I was just throwing gas, and I had like a really good curveball, and so. Like, 1 through 5 in every lineup is like, okay, these are the all-stars. And then like 5 through 9 were like the kids that like they're back in the box that, maybe some of them had wheelchairs.
Yeah, there you go.
And so this game, I'm cruising through it. I got one more out to get on this no-hitter. I think I'd walked a couple guys, so it wasn't even like close to being a perfect game. And I go to a 2-2 count. I remember this. Kid hits it. Really, this is their leadoff guy. It's top of the lineup. He hits it down right field line, past first base. First baseman dove for it. My buddy Troy, good fielder too. So like I know like without a doubt he could have should have played no doubles, Troy.
Yeah,
but I'm not bitter. And so this kid, leadoff guy, speedy guy, goes around first, goes on second. Our right fielder guns him at third. Trying to make it into a triple. And so that game ended right there. That was the last out of the game. And so I faced that was the last batter I faced. I was going to say I faced the minimum, but I walked a couple guys. And so that was how I lost the no-hitter, was that way. It was the last guy of the game. Hit a double, got thrown out at third. And I didn't even get to like celebrate like my shutout because I was backing up third base. So like I didn't have that like
that moment
where I get to embrace my catcher or something.
Yeah,
like, good shutout, man. Now I was near the opposing dugout, and everyone's like, "Oh fuck!" And so I mean, it was cool, but I took my moment away, took my no-hitter away. And I mean, I had the strikeout record, which I didn't really know until like the week later. Someone called me and was like, "Hey, you set the record for this. Are we okay? Can we put your name on this thing?" So that's as close as I ever got.
I will say the thing I love about baseball, or the thing I like about these moments in baseball, is one, that they're very far and few between.
Yeah.
And two, it's like that's like a legendary thing that happens in baseball. Like I never witnessed one. When Matt Cain threw his perfect game, I could not, because at the time, early internet, I believe, was like.
I was gonna say, now that technology is so good, people will chime in on Twitter, or people will let you know, or text you or call you or whatever. Now, hey, tune into this game, and you can actually watch that game. Before you could be like, "Oh, I don't get that channel. I can't."
Yeah, NBC Sports Network didn't come to OC, and so like seeing, it was one of those things where it was. But that's besides the point. But it's one of those things that I love about it. It's like a legendary thing that, in a sport, all across all, like you're saying, in Little League, in Pony, in high school, everyone can experience it on some level if they're good enough, if they have that opportunity. It's not like clean sheet in soccer happens all the time.
Oh yeah.
There's a 6-touchdown game it's a crazy game, but it doesn't have the same panache. I think that's the right word. I don't know if that's.
I think you're using that right.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm using. It has the same chutzpah that it doesn't have the same chutzpah that a no-no has. A no-no is like, hey, like, shock me when it's all said and done. That's one of the things they'll say about me. Yeah. They'll say, hey, pitched a no-no at age 13, father. Husband. Yeah. Like, it's just one of those things. That's what I love about.
I think
about no-nos
in basketball.
Also, the name no-no.
Yeah, right. It's just like it's just really cool name. I think in basketball it's probably like 100 points. Like whenever Kobe went off,
yeah,
you're like, oh, look at this. Or like when Clay had 35 or 36 that one quarter.
37
was it? Yeah. And everyone's just like, oh, you need to tune into this guy. But like those happen so quick. Like a no-hitter's over like 3 hours. So you can kind of like we've always said past couple weeks, you can kind of like register it and kind of take it in and be like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like there's time to evaluate what's going on. With those other things, it's maybe not so much. I think maybe like Terrell Owens when he was going for was it the receiving record?
The receiving record.
Or catches in a game record?
It was catches in a game, and it was against Jerry Rice, and it was Jerry Rice's last game. Yeah. I happened to watch that game. That was like the second Niners game I ever watched in my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like the first Niners game I ever watched in my life was Terrell Owens. Was the Niners beating the Green Bay Packers in the wild card game where Steve Young threw to Terrell Owens in a Hail Mary, and Terrell Owens as a rookie caught it on a deep post, and went into it. It was touchdown. I started crying, and that was the moment I fell in love with football and the Niners. Like, and I've never like wavered.
Yeah.
I would like the same thing with anything. Like the moment I saw Barry Bonds play for the first time, I was like, oh, okay, got it. Yeah. So
was for that going back to that Niners thing, was Garrison Hurst still a running back?
Yeah. Yes. Number 20, Garrison Hurst.
Yeah.
So and then so the next Niners game I saw was Terrell Owens. I think he recorded 20 receptions, or he recorded 21 because Jerry Rice had 20, and they kept talking about Jerry Rice being done and that he was no longer going to be a Niner because he was going to be a free agent, and then he happened to sign with the Raiders. But I remember that game very vividly, and I remember rooting for Terrell Owens. So I just wanted to see a record broken. I didn't know, and then Terrell Owens happened to become like my favorite football player for a time. And then broke my heart as an adult when he said we didn't want to go in the Hall of Fame as a Niner. Like that was actually kind of like a devastating moment, and it put into context like how much of a dumb idiot I am that I got like that, or like that I'm that much of a fan. But I also like embrace that side of me. Like I love being a dumb idiot about sports. I think it's one of the few things in life you can be a dumb idiot about without like severe consequences. Like you can say I don't give a fuck like in real life, and that's how you end up in jail. But like, I can be an idiot and bet, fucking that, Hideki. I can bet against the field. I can bet the field against Hideki. Root against Hideki all day and feel like an idiot for doing it. Like that's just why I love sports. It's just like it gives me a reason to have fun but like now I'm just going all over the place. But like
I was gonna say like there's that fun side, then there's that ridiculous side.
Yeah.
And then our next topic is that ridiculous.
That's it. Okay. I'm so excited for this because it's everything. The internet knows no bounds. This is the internet created Ben Askren versus Jake Paul, Netflix, Amazon. Like, this is an incredible thing that the internet
has done.
Is
it on Netflix?
No. But I'm just saying, like, think about what the internet has done for Netflix. Think about what the internet has done for Amazon. And the internet now, add Ben Askren versus Jake Paul to the list. Because this dude gets fucking 5 million viewers on a vlog. Because this dude was on a Disney Channel or Nickelodeon show that I'm not sure which. I didn't even look it up because it's so insignificant.
Jake Paul was?
Yeah.
I thought he was just YouTube all the way.
Bizarre Vark. I remember my niece loved it. And I remember thinking, like, that's the vlogger. That's the Vine guy. And she was like, yeah, that's Jake Paul. And I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, I did the same thing with my sister. She's 13. I'm like, hey, who is this? Like, when I watched the Grammys a couple weeks ago. I was just like, who is this singer? I have no clue who this person is. I'm like, old. I have aged out of like peak pop culture. And so I'm all just like, let kids tell me who these other kids are.
We're so aged out of pop culture. The thing that's important now is TikTokers. It's not like, the Britney Spears when we were children, or like, I don't know, Lindsay Lohan when we were well, I guess Lindsay Lohan's still older than us. Who was huge when we were teenagers? Zac Efron. Like Zac Efron and shit.
Yeah,
that's the TikTokers of today.
High School Musical crew.
High School Musical, yeah. Like those are the people. But so, like Ben Askren is a UFC fighter. He was a Bellator champion. He was 19-0 at one point.
Yeah.
And because Jake Paul gets 2 million views on his vlogs, and because he knocked out Nate Robinson in a fight, and
R.I.P. Nate,
trended so hard on the internet that that's the reason this fight's happening. It's going to be on Thriller. The purse. Oh, that's something I didn't look up. If you can look that up, that would be great. Because I'll tell you the odds. The odds are. Who do you think is the underdog?
Ooh, I don't know. After the Nate Robinson ordeal, I think Paul's got to be the slight favorite.
Jake Paul, a man with only 2 professional fights,
the favorite, right?
Is the favorite.
It's because Askren has no hands, two in the UFC in the context of fighting UFC.
Thank you.
Fighters, he has no hands.
That which leads me to my next point. But Ben Askren is plus 150 against Jake Paul. I jumped on that. Like, of course, it's gonna be the one bet I have no problem losing. I'm gonna jump even bigger on it later. I just didn't want to put more money in my account because the fucking Hideki bet crushed me. It's fine. I'll get back into it. But so, this is my whole take on the Ben Askren side, and because the narrative is, which is why he's the underdog, is that he has no hands. This is akin to saying that Askren is the Scalabrini of striking. Okay, he still made the professional leagues, but people don't understand the magnitude of what it takes to be that great for the most part, and like they think that he can't fight. They think he's got the same level of hands that they do, just a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like,
not to interrupt you or anything, but Askren has already admitted that the fight paying against the 24-year-old would be the biggest payday of his career, with estimates of $1 million having been bandied around.
Incredible.
And Jake Paul says he'll double that purse if he beats him. If Askren beats him.
So he'll get $2 million if he wins.
Yeah.
This dude, and what I love about Ben Askren is, if you don't know anything about Ben Askren, he's good on the mic. He's good on a mic. He's not like boring by any means. And his tactic behind this whole thing is incredible, because Jake Paul is like if cocaine and the Big Bang had a baby, that would be Jake Paul. Like, it's incredible. He's such a fascinating human to me. I love to hate him. It's incredible how much I hate this human, but at the same time find so much joy in this man's existence. In 5 to 10 years, he's easily going to die. And that of an overdose.
Oh, God. What's his first? Well, I was just going to say, he just got there was a sexual assault against him too, right? Claim.
I heard about this the other day. I had no idea about this.
That's recent. Like, another YouTuber was like, he forced himself upon me. And I was like, okay, well, let's hope that like this fight.
Let's hope that Ben Askren fucking kicks his ass. It's unreal. And then so that's why I kind of think that this whole thing is so I guess to back to Ben Askren for a little bit is that he's 19-0. He fought in the UFC. He's older. He's like 36, 37, and he's retired from the UFC because he got knocked out pretty hard against Jorge Masvidal and then lost his next fight, and he was kind of done. He was kind of over the hill, and that
Lawler fight he should have lost.
Yeah, and that Lawler fight he should have lost. I agree. He was out. I agree.
He's gotten his ass kicked in like 3 consecutive fights
in the UFC. Yeah, he's done. And but it's one of those things where what's his face? Jake Paul is so confident. It's like Conor McGregor levels of confidence, and it's truly like in his mind, he is unbeatable. And in the whole press tour of this fight, like Jake Paul can't get in Ben Askren's head at all, which makes me so much more confident that Ben Askren's going to kick his ass. Because Ben Askren, he was on Impulsive, Logan Paul's podcast. And Logan was like, why do you think I think you're going to lose? And he was like, yeah, like if the only way I lose this fight is if your brother is good enough to beat me. Like if your brother beats me, he's a professional fighter and he's good enough. That's the only way I lose this fight. Other than that, like I was a champion. I have competitive greatness. Mm-hmm. Your brother fought Nate Robinson. Like it's just like one of those things where it's like you can't get into his head. Like this is not going to work on this dude. He's very cerebral. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think he's going to lose this fight. Jake Paul's going to come out and think maybe he's intimidating. I don't know. Jake Paul gets very violent with him. Have you seen any of the clips, any of the promo clips? Jake Paul will like run, like it's like a WWE backstage video. Like he'll come in and he'll be like, "What's up, pussy? What's up, pussy boy? Stand up and look at me in the eyes. Why don't you stand up? But you scared, pussy boy?" And then Ben Askren's like, "Nah, man." Like Ben Askren looks like it's like Andre the Giant. It's like annoying Andre the Giant in The Princess Bride, and he's just like kind of whatever. It's
What's the size difference here?
They're both the same. They're both similar, like 5'10", 6 feet, like in between those 2 inches.
Oh, no. I thought Jake Paul was like 6'2", 6'3".
I don't know. From my understanding, I don't know what their height is. They look anywhere from 5'10" to 6 feet. They're both pudgy, kind of, so they could be any height. You never know.
Well, Askren for sure. Jake Paul looks pretty ripped from what I've seen.
I don't know. From what I've seen him, maybe I'm just seeing him in clothes. You know what it is? He's just wearing baggy clothes.
Yeah, he dresses like a Gen Xer.
You know who Jake Paul reminds me of? Malibu's Most Wanted.
No, that's Chet Hanks.
Oh, also another person I love because of the internet. My favorite part about Chet Hanks is that Tom Hanks raised him. That's my favorite part. Tom Hanks at one point said, "Chet, go to your room." And then Chet was like, "I don't want to go to my room, bro." It's just like this Jamaican dude all of a sudden.
Someone raised the possibility that he was raised by Jamaican house sitters. Or like
I love this. Where did you find this information?
No. There was a rumor that's how he became who he became because he was raised by that. But that's more of like the Malibu Most Wanted theory.
This is if we can find any like writings about that, we're gonna bring that to this show and we're gonna read it and because that's amazing. That's a hilarious thing.
Jake Paul 6 feet 165.
Okay, so they're both. What is Ben Askren? 6 feet 5'10"?
Yeah, I think 5'10", 5'11", 170. He fought at 170.
Jake Paul's got to. If Jake Paul beats Ben Askren, this is why it's a win-win. If Jake Paul beats Ben Askren, that means that Jake Paul's going to continue to be crazy. He's going to continue to do crazy things. He's going to continue to buy more cocaine. It's just going to be
he's going to go to court soon. I don't know.
That's
drugs.
True. Icarus. He's Icarus right now. We're watching the implosion of a man. Like slowly, this man is going to die.
He just moved to Arizona too, I think.
Is he? Because if he wins this fight, there's no doubt in my mind that he calls out Conor McGregor, and if he beats Ben Askren, the Conor McGregor fight is like a legitimate possibility. And
no, it's not.
No, yeah. Oh yeah. This man
McGregor's fighting for 150 million a fight. Jake Paul's fighting for like 10.
Okay, listen. Let me tell. We'll find out how big this is.
I'm not even gonna entertain this as an idea.
No. But listen. What I mean by possibility is it's not the next fight. What I mean is if he can, it all comes down to like how he can spin the narrative. But this is what I'm saying he's going to do. If he wins this fight, he's going to call out Conor McGregor. He's going to say his shit. I believe Jake Paul's so crazy, he'll fly to Ireland and kidnap his children and tell them if you want them, come get them. Like, that's how crazy this dude is. Like, it's a win. He threw eggs at Dylan Dennis and called him a pussy.
Leave the country pretty soon.
Dylan Dennis. Yeah, he might have to. Dylan Dennis is legit a murderer. Like, I don't mean like, actually, I shouldn't say that. He's a
jiu-jitsu wonder kid, yeah.
He's fucking phenomenal. Like, Dylan Dennis would kill him. Dylan Dennis would fucking kill him in 30 seconds.
Yeah, but he's not a big enough name to fight. So it's
I know. But what I'm saying is, like, he threw eggs at him. You went to Conor McGregor's gym, threw eggs at him. It's unbelievable. This man is crazy. And if he loses, it means we all watched him get his ass kicked. There's no doubt in my mind, this fight, there's TikTokers on the undercard.
When is this fight taking place?
Saturday. Shout out to the internet. We're talking about it on Sunday. Shout out to the internet for doing this. TikTokers are making $5 million off this fight. There's a TikToker making $5 million off this fight. If he wins.
Oh,
I don't know.
Gambling.
I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know. They're just making up numbers. I hear TikTokers make so much money. It's insane. They're just making up. Sometimes I think they just make up numbers.
I don't even know how to monetize that. Like, how would you?
TikTok?
Yeah. Just views?
Yeah, views. Yeah, I mean, you come in with a certain number.
Are there
if you
ads?
come in with a certain, if you come in with a certain number, you can say like 10. I have like 10% engagement. If you have 10% engagement, you're above average. You could be like, listen, motherfuckers, pay me, Target, and Target will be like, okay.
And then China pays you because China owns it, right?
Yeah, but you're getting
so you get paid like yuan or something.
I'm just super excited for this. It's just going to be ridiculous. It's going to be ridiculous.
Speaking of flying over to Europe and on Sunday, Formula One returns, sir.
That's a transition, folks.
You're welcome.
Can I just say this?
I read a book.
I read a book on how to transition. I Googled transition.
I watched a couple TikTok videos on how to transition.
Hey, when you're on a podcast and you want to transition, you want to use the words furthermore, additionally.
Yeah, we got to be careful with that verb transition because that's being used for other things. Currently.
That's true. That's true.
Respectfully. Podcast transitions, respectfully. But yeah, like I was mentioning, Formula One returns after 3 weeks off. I fucking hated it was gone for 3 weeks.
How does it work? It's not once a week? I thought it was once a week.
No, because in a normal year they have about 28 races, 24 races. And because of COVID, most countries they're accessing have different rules. So actually, like I think yesterday there was a rumor that the Canadian GP Grand Prix, GP for short and for cool people, is being canceled in October because Canada still doesn't have like a lot of vaccines for their population vaccination supply for their population, and so it's not looking good for Canada. So that race in Montreal is probably canceled, and then I think Turkey was going to take it over. But anyway, with COVID last year, they shrunk it down to I think it was 20 races or 18, somewhere around there. And Italy was one of the countries, which is weird because they got smashed with COVID early on. They had 3 races in Italy. Usually they only have 1 race per country throughout the year. And so they start in Australia, they end in like Brazil. And so they're all over the place. Then they have a swing where they go all over Europe, Thailand, China. The one here in the U.S. is Austin.
Well, I didn't know this.
Yeah, so they're everywhere.
I just started watching the F1 season 3. It's fantastic.
Hell yeah. I told you.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. My girlfriend who loathes sports, she like sees sports. She watches it because she's dating me, but she was like, this is good. This is really good. It's very interesting. Lewis Hamilton the Lewis Hamilton best friend debacle thing that happened was super interesting. I'm on episode 4. I'm getting involved.
I told you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And so the normal schedule is starting in March, pre-COVID, post-COVID, March till December. And then, late December, January, February are considered off months, even though testing takes place in February. And so always the first race is in Australia, but it wasn't this time around. It was in the Middle East,
Saw that in
Bahrain.
the doc.
What's that?
Saw that in the documentary, season 3, episode 1.
Yeah. They go through how they handled the whole COVID situation. And so, they're finally returning 3 weeks off. And they're going to this racetrack called Imola. It's an Italian raceway. And I can't pronounce the city, but it's in Italy, northern Italy. It's like Emilia Romagna, something like that. It's a very famous racetrack. Please. And so this racetrack is famous because it has like a little town in the middle of it. And it's only been used twice. This is the second year in a row they're using it because, like I said, they used Italy, the country, for 3 races last year because of COVID. And because other countries weren't letting them in.
I got it.
And so what pronounce it for me?
Emilia Romagna.
There you go. God, that was really good.
Thank you.
And so this racetrack they hadn't used since 2006 before 2020. So now 2 years in a row they're using it. It's a really famous racetrack because it's like Ferrari's home track. Because I think it's closest to their factory. And then this really famous driver, Ayrton Senna, died there in 1994. He was considered like the best of all time at the time of his racing. And shortly after, there's a really good documentary on I think Netflix and Amazon that's available if you want to watch. It's called Senna. So if you ever ask, like if you ever hear a Lewis Hamilton interview and they ask him who does he look up to, it's Senna. And so this guy passed away at this racetrack in 1994. And so it's like a really, really cool track. Race starts 6 a.m. on Sunday, so it's a little early for all you people to go out on Saturdays.
That's EPL time too. That's prime EPL game time. That's tough.
And so and then qualifying is like super early, which they're moving an hour back because of the royal family funeral that's happening this weekend also. And so
lots of things.
It's a really interesting race. Like I said, it's the second of the season. And the rain, 40% chance of rain is 40%. So that'll be interesting to see how they kind of go through that. If you ever watched a race in the rain, it's wild because these guys can't see anything. They're going like 200 miles an hour. And then last year's race, Lewis Hamilton won, but this year Red Bull's whipping ass. So we'll see how they do. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. Tune in. All the races are on ESPN2 now because they got really smart. ESPN did, of course, they did a smart sports thing, but they found that during COVID and the quarantine and pandemic situation, a lot of people were watching this Netflix series, and a lot of Americans got super into F1, including myself. And so the first race 3 weeks ago was the highest viewed in terms of ratings ever for a Formula One race in America, ever. And they attribute that to the Netflix series. I've been, every chance I get to talk about this on this show, I've been saying F1, F1, F1. And so if you ever watched a live race, it's really exciting. Just to be 100, the first 10 to 15 laps are amazing. The middle 30 are a little dry because it's just like, okay, everyone's kind of separated it out. It's more strategy. It's a little slower in terms of like appeal. Obviously not the race speed, but so I kind of like either work out or take my dog outside real quick or, clean up a little bit around. And then the last 20 laps are when it's like super interesting because everyone's kind of settled into their spot and then you kind of see, okay, do we need to go get tires or do we need to strategize against this? How are we going to manipulate our track, our place in the track? And that's pretty interesting too. So I'd say the first 15, last 20 that you really need to focus in on. But yeah, so Sunday morning, 6 a.m. Pacific time. Anywhere else, I guess, adjust to that. So 9 a.m. Goddamn East Coasters, lucky ass.
You guys can do math. You can figure the fuck out. And then the international, because we're international. We're the International Players Podcast.
Okay.
I don't know if you were aware, we're huge in Taiwan, Singapore, Japan. We got dogs out there. It's wild. You could Google it yourself because I don't know the time. But I will be figuring. I'll be like at least ESPNing it at some point.
Yeah, they do reruns like midday ESPN too.
Yeah, if I mean that's 12 o'clock is still,
bitterly.
I guess that's the halftime. That's the halftime of a EPL game. All right, let's do a top 10. So we're gonna do a top 10 of things that happened this sports week, and we're just gonna do a take on it if we have a take.
I'll let you go. You take your first, and then I'll just take whatever.
Okay, so so MJ, Michael Jordan, will be presenting he will be the presenter of Kobe getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. This totally makes sense. People were surprised. They thought it was going to be, I think they thought it was going to be Magic or, I think maybe another Laker or something. I mean, if you know anything about Kobe, Michael Jordan is his brother. Michael Jordan said it best: when Kobe died, a little piece of me died. And so I think it's perfect, and I'm gonna cry my fucking eyes out.
When is that? It's in August, or
that's in August. Yeah.
That's gonna be pretty emotional. It's gonna be pretty emotional, especially Kobe, man. Kobe, around the NBA these days, so many players looked up to him, and the way he looked up to MJ.
Oh yeah,
best of all time. Like that's going to be, very, very emotional.
Oh yeah. All right, Aaron Donald. Okay, so Aaron Donald killed a man. He punched him in it. It's the one. There's the
allegedly, right?
Allegedly. Oh yeah, this is allegedly. Allegedly. I have it here. Let me pull it up.
Do you ever get confused for Aaron Donald?
Sometimes, like I have been told, there's two guys I get, and it's Aaron Donald and Russell Wilson. Like whenever I post a TikTok about Russell Wilson, somebody will be like, "You kind of look like Russell Wilson. You kind of look like Russell Wilson, dude."
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. We have very similar facial features, and the only thing we don't really have is are the same nose, and he's a world-class athlete, and I am
dating a pop star or married to a pop star.
But okay, so I can't find it. He allegedly punched this dude in downtown Pittsburgh, and you look at his face, his eye is swollen shut. In the world I live in, he punched him one time, and then that eye immediately shut down, and his body shut down. He punched him so hard his eyebrow came off. He doesn't have an eyebrow. I'd like in where the black eye is, like you don't see an eyebrow. The thing that my whole take on this is is that if I was the judge, I think I would arrest the dude that got punched. I'd be like, "Hey man, I gotta lock you up. You're not safe because you're willing to fight this dude over a bottle service incident." Apparently, the story goes, and I don't know if this is real or not.
Where are we having bottle service during COVID?
In downtown Pittsburgh. I don't know. And this is what I'm hearing. This is what the internet's talking about. Once again, the only thing I know for certain is that Aaron Donald, if he did punch this guy, punched his eyebrows off. That's all I know. The other things I know.
I like to think it was a swim move.
You like to think of this? He just
like good form, Aaron. Aaron.
He wants to get to the bottle. He's like, "Give me your bottle, man. I'm gonna get that bottle." The bottle's the quarterback. He just fucking rips through him, rips his eyebrows off. But I think the other dude should get arrested for thinking that he could start a fight with Aaron Donald. For even apparently, once again, this is the internet rumor world, so take it for a grain of salt. Aaron Donald stole his bottle, and then he went up to Aaron Donald and was like, "Give it back." Which, if that's the case, supposing that is what happened, I'm telling you, you don't arrest Aaron Donald for that. You arrest the other guy. The other guy, he should allow.
Stay in your lane, bro.
Somebody said the funniest thing, which was like, if Aaron Donald took my kid, I wouldn't say anything. Like that's the right
if Aaron
thing.
Donald sex trafficked with your child, you wouldn't do anything.
I mean, come on, I'd call him and I tell him that I know.
Let's be reasonable here.
I know a series of things, and I do the Liam Neeson. I do my best Liam Neeson. I'll just be like, "Listen, she's an adopted child. You don't know who I am. I'm Liam Neeson."
Yeah.
You want to do Aldridge, LaMarcus Aldridge?
Yeah, so that was kind of a big one that I saw. Was it today or yesterday that it came up? LaMarcus Aldridge retired effective immediately. I think Shams reported it first. I think it was either today or tomorrow. They're all running together. I thought it was kind of a big deal. Obviously, I think, I didn't realize he was been in the NBA since 2005 or 2006. Excuse me. Drafted second overall after Bargnani. I'll remember that forever. Yeah, that was a fuck up, wasn't it, huh? Speaking of Italy. And so what I didn't remember is that he was in the same class as Brandon Roy. That was a hell of a draft class for the Blazers that year. They traded for both on draft night. Anyway, Aldridge's Dallas kid, got to show some love. Spent 2 years at Texas. The only reason he went to Texas is because he had Shaq at the time, and Shaq was like, go to college, get your game, your post game, get going. A couple of other notables from that draft class still in the NBA: Rondo, Redick, Lowry, Millsap. And then,
hold on.
Yeah.
Rondo is the 06 class?
Yeah, those guys were all drafted that same year. I think Rondo went like 13th or 10th.
He's from Kentucky. I know that. I just know I love Millsap's game. I used to love Millsap's game.
And I think Rudy Gay may still be in the league somewhere sitting on the bench.
There's no way.
He was also part of that draft.
Rudy Gay was really good for a second there.
He either played like – he probably recently retired, Rudy Gay, because I feel like I saw him on the Spurs pretty recently.
Yeah, I think
but yeah, Aldridge spent 2006 to 2015 with the Blazers, and then, of course, signed with the Spurs, came back home to Texas 2015 to 2021. And then we talked about him a couple of weeks ago when he joined the Nets on a buyout, just to see how he was going to kind of affect their playoff odds. And he might have a little bit whenever, you get the right series, rely on a post-game kind of guy, 6'11". But unfortunately, yeah, man, he had to retire. He had a regular heartbeat, which he's kind of dealt with a couple times throughout his career. It's really sad. Still a young guy, but he's got the rest of his life in front of him. Seems like a good dude. You never hear anything bad about him. He's like you mentioned with Aaron Donald. He's not like one of those guys you see fighting for bottle service or whatever, or bottle in the club. I can't remember a negative story about him. You don't see him online yapping at someone like his teammate Kevin Durant does.
Papa loves him. Oh, I love what Kevin Durant's doing.
Yeah, man, he just seems like a good dude. Quiet. They changed the offense in San Antonio to not really focus on him as much anymore. And so we didn't really hear anything about that. And then, this year when it was pretty obvious that he was going to be in their plans, they just bought him out and said, hey, sign with a competitor, get you a championship. Because I don't think he has one. So that's really sad. Hopefully he sticks around and coaches a little bit. It's a different NBA than what his skill set would showcase, yeah, but hopefully he can catch on and kind of mentor some of the next generation. But yeah, what's interesting is he was at Texas for 2 years, University of Texas, and Kevin Durant and him missed each other by a year. Imagine that is interesting. That team, like him as a junior and Durant as a freshman.
Yeah,
bro,
that would have been interesting.
Yeah,
that would have been fun. That would have been a legendary team that people talk about. All right, Game of Thrones tweeted out winter is coming. You got something you got to take?
Yeah, a lot of people thought that this meant they were going to redo the 8th season. Mm-hmm. They were like, bring it back, do it again. But no, someone was in my mentions. They sent me some stuff. A couple people actually were like, no, idiot. It's just the 10th anniversary of the first episode. I was like, oh, damn it. And so that's essentially, I think, what it was. I got really excited for like 20 minutes. But
let me just say this. If I lived in a world, right, because I didn't think they would do it. But I think if they did, just from a marketing perspective, I think that if they did do that, I think that would be the most ingenious piece of marketing HBO could do, which is like, hey, like it would be funny
and expensive.
It would be expensive. Like you'd still get all the viewers. You'd still get all the people.
20 million episode.
Oh fuck! Oh, I didn't know it was 20 million episode. Never mind, they wouldn't do it. But at the time, I didn't know it was 20 million episode. But if they did, suppose it was $20 million an episode. If they didn't and just started with the two creators and were like, hey, we listened to the internet, it sucked. They did a couple bits on Jimmy Kimmel. They did the whole thing. They got everybody on there. Everybody could say like, yeah, it sucks. So we decided to do it again. There'd be a lot of hype for it. I didn't know it was $20 million an episode. But it would
anytime there's dragons, the base pay is 20 million. Oh my god!
It would be the most ingenious way to. It would just be they would rule the internet. They would rule every single Sunday again. It would be a great idea if it wasn't $20 million an episode. It would be really funny.
I honestly, I think they should have to go back and redo the 7th season too. Redo both seasons, because that's when after season 6, that's where it started to kind of tail off.
I don't even, to be honest, it's all a giant blur. I thought it was really good, but I could, like, if I rewatched it, I'll never watch another episode of Game of Thrones. Like, it's not possible.
Really?
Not even the new ones. I just don't care. After spending 10 years worth of Sundays and 10 years worth of, I don't know what, 80 hours. I don't know.
Give it to me.
800
I'll
hours.
watch whatever the fuck you want to
800 hours. HBO. I'm good. I've seen enough. I've seen enough people
Give it to me.
In the winter in Ireland. And then, I've just seen enough. This is
where I bow down to HBO and be like, you have my sword. And like,
I'm not. You know what I am going to watch though? Mark Wahlberg's new fucking TV show on HBO Max, where he talks about where it's just an insight. It's just like his life as a businessman. It sounds awesome. All right, we'll skip Fast 9. We just know that it should be nominated for Best Picture next year, and it won't, and that's a great fucking tragedy.
I just have 2 quick comments.
Okay, go ahead.
Han is back. What the fuck?
Didn't even know that. I didn't watch the trailer. I never got a chance. We're skipping it. Han is back.
Han is back, and they have the whole Tokyo Drift crew.
Let's go.
Sharing a beer in the trailer.
This is so exciting.
They're possibly going to space, which everyone's joking about because there was nowhere else to go, and they're possibly doing it.
I was watching Too Fast, Too Furious like a month ago. I don't remember when, but it's somewhere along the lines, they went from just like people driving cars to legitimate superheroes. They went to Hawkeye levels of athleticism and fight superiority. They could beat people up. They have, like, to be as good as they are at all of their ages is legitimate. Like, you need training. They grew up in East LA.
Yeah, they're like the best team that the U.S. government has to offer. Like, this is a disgrace. They grew
up in East LA, John.
Yeah.
Dominic Toretto.
They're only like 2 of the original ones now, right? Like, it's just Dom and Letty. Like, everyone else is kind of new.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Tyrese is from Barstow.
It's on. The trailer's on in the background. Oh my God, that's a tank. I'm so excited.
While you watch that, I'll keep going here. Last night we had the Luka game winner falling towards the basket as time expired against the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies had the lead pretty much the whole game, and I was in and out of it because I had, full disclosure, I just got my Bernard second shot, so I was like a little wobbly, a little tired. But
back shame here, okay?
Oh, no. Get the vaccine. Get the vaccine.
No, I mean, like, because you were tired. Like, some people.
Oh, but I was trying to watch Luka and I was falling asleep. And then I missed the actual shot. I had to, like, watch it, like, after the fact.
Such a horse shot. That's what you do.
Yeah, it was just like a ridiculous shot. And so there is a conspiracy theory on Dallas Mavericks social media circles that KP Porzingis was the only one not celebrating with everyone else. There's a picture. There's like a little short 10-second video that the Mavericks posted. Everyone kind of like around Doncic and celebrating.
I love this. You know what?
If we was the only one out there.
If we can figure out a way to make a segment called Conspiracy Theory, I love this because during all right, this is Conspiracy Theory. That's the new segment. So, yeah, you just did yours. So, Justin Fields threw a football, and John Lynch tapped Kyle Shanahan on the right shoulder, and now Niners Twitter's like, okay, QB1, it's done. So, I'm super excited for Justin Fields to be the next quarterback of the Niners based on that alone. Conspiracy Theory. That was our Conspiracy Theory segment.
Well, you have probably one more, Brett Favre.
Okay, so Brett. Brett Favre, the USA Today quoted him as saying, like, it's not about the game anymore. Everyone I talk to says it's not about the game anymore, and they don't want to watch it. They don't want to watch the football. And he agrees. It's like, no, dude, you're from fucking Mississippi. No shit you think it's not about the game anymore when black people are protesting police brutality. No fucking shit. And you and all your neighbors 40 acres away who fucking shoot God knows what for whatever reason. It's like, of course you do. I'm not surprised. You probably think that women belong in the kitchen too, jackass.
From Mississippi, and then he played his whole career in Green Bay.
Like,
and then he goes to New York 1 year and pulls his dick out.
Yeah, sends a dick pic. And then he's like, what? Nobody likes dick pics. No one ever liked dick pics, dude. This is not fucking Mississippi, and that's not your cousin. So it's like, what are you doing? Shots to Mississippi. Shots were fired. Hold on. Let me take it back. There's a couple people I really like from Mississippi that, like, shout out to Ben Mintz. I'm a big fan. So shots fired on Mississippi. There was no need to. Well, you know what? Fuck Jackson, Mississippi. How about that? There's some parts of Mississippi that can go fuck themselves. That's fair. There's parts of Mississippi that can suck my dick. Fuck Mississippi.
You're going to cut all of this.
Fuck the statues. I'm not cutting any of this. I fucking hate that fucking racist
so weird
state.
To see, like, now that you've settled in and Justin Fields is your quarterback, your hate, your craziness is transferred over to the state of Mississippi. Like one more state over, you got Justin Fields from Georgia, I think, right?
That's true. All right, so yeah, Brett Favre's, of course. Like, yeah, who cares? Brett Favre, of course. Bruce Campbell. That was not. There's an internet that went around that Bruce Campbell lost at a Walmart, and it was just Bruce Campbell tweeted out. He was like, "That's not me."
Yeah. He went. I think Ryan Russillo touched on this on his podcast, but he was just like, "Yeah, I reached out." So maybe Chris Long, who was on Russillo's podcast. Yeah. Was pretty much just like, I reached out to him to just confirm, and it wasn't him. He was just like, these motherfuckers is probably trying to be me, but not me. And
that
so
was just crazy.
Just some other really giant human being that just got worked. Yeah, you look like Ben Askren in the UFC. That's what he looked like.
The dude that rocked him, no doubt. Like the next day was like, dude, I kicked a football player's ass the other day. I got hands, bro. I should have been a fighter. You know,
the guy he knocked out was like 6'9", like close to 320, 340 probably.
Which, if you know anything about like super tall people, the taller they are, the usually more unathletic they are, unless they play professional sports. And it's like, also, like, that dude was like 1,000 pounds.
Yeah. Apparently you don't have range in the Walmart self-checkout area.
It was unbelievable. An unbelievable fight. Shout out to the internet. This episode, the internet, it's half of this episode is dedicated to the internet. Okay, the WNBA draft. It was today, right?
Yes, happened tonight.
Happened tonight. Did
not know about it, but I thought we should mention it. I'm going to try and watch more WNBA. They're getting more coverage, and that's a good thing. And I think they've been on kind of like the forefront of the civil rights, re-upping recently, and I think that's great for everyone. And we just need to like start promoting this league more. It's good quality basketball, and I'm looking at the draft first round here. My new favorite team, Dallas Wings,
sick name.
Had 3 of the first 5 picks, which is insane.
I saw that they had the 1 and the 2.
Yeah, 1, 2, and was it 5? Yeah. So they went with Charlie Collier, I'm assuming, out of Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, keeping it local. She's from Houston. They got that pick from New York via Seattle. So, and then for the second pick, they got what was considered the best player in the draft. I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's Awak is her first name, Awak maybe, and her
what
last
school
name
did she go to?
She's from Italy.
Oh,
she played with a club team in Italy, but she's Finnish. But she's her family's from Africa.
You know who else is Finnish?
Senegalese, maybe. Mm-hmm.
Lewis Hamilton's driving partner,
Valtteri Bottas. Yeah.
Full circle. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? That's what this podcast does. We go full circle, Ben.
I was gonna say I don't know the WNBA too much, but for all these draft picks in the first round, I see 1, 2, 3 foreigners. That's pretty cool. They have an Australian. They went 8th to Chicago, and then the Aces drafted 12th, a French lady, Liana Rupert, who played with Tongo Borges Basket. Yeah, so I think it's great for the game to go global. I do know in their off season that these girls have to go overseas to kind of like supplement their income.
Yes.
WNBA is not as big as we'd like it over here in terms of financial compensation. And so it's very much like the women's soccer league where they also go overseas in their off season to kind of
ironically enough, like, you know, and we're gonna talk about the WNBA more. I mean, I covered women's college basketball as a beat writer for the Daily Titan for the women's.
Nice.
Ironically enough, like, so we are gonna do some more WNBA stuff. But ironically enough, the people that watch the WNBA, like, there's like gamblers, degenerate gamblers, watch the WNBA. They love the
market
WNBA.
inefficiencies. You got to take advantage of it.
Exactly.
That's what they did with the UFC early on. That's why I think Joe Rogan has talked about it a couple times, where he's just like, yeah, man, odds makers in Vegas had no fucking clue what to do with MMA when it first came. And he said a lot of his friends would ask him tips, and he'd be like, pick this guy, pick this guy, pick this guy. And they'd pick a lot of winners because the odds makers had no clue.
Odds makers still kind of have no. Well, actually, the favorites are. I think the favorites for the most part win. Actually, I think they do a good job.
Yeah, I think they're a lot better now for sure. You might be able to take advantage of like Bellator and the ONE FC, but going back to the WNBA, I think that's kind of like what it's like now. It's like a lot of people just don't know yet. But the WNBA the last couple of years is kind of getting a big push, I think, in terms of popularity, and I think that's a great thing. And so
we'll keep it
I'll
moving.
definitely be following whenever they do start their season up.
We'll keep moving. Also, I do want to say, we said this was a segment called Top 10. This is obviously the whole idea was to do this all in under like 2 minutes. We did this in like 20.
Well, no, I was saying 2 minutes per item.
Oh,
2 minutes total would have been insane.
Oh, okay, all right. I still think we went over 2 minutes, but I like it. Okay, 2 minutes total.
Sure did.
Yeah, I like that. All right, we'll change it up though. We'll figure out a way to do stuff like this more. All right, the last thing before Caught Down Bad is pie versus cake. You make your argument for cake. I make my argument for pie, and we let the chips fall where they may.
I'm just going to say this. Cake is used for celebrating. Pie is used for Thanksgiving. That's not celebrating anything. That's giving thanks.
Don't bring in a genocide. Don't bring an American genocide to a pie versus cake debate. Don't you dare do that.
Cake is used for celebrating. That's all I'm going to say. Ice cream funfetti cake is the best thing you could ever consume. I don't even know what pie would even come close to that.
Here's my issue with your argument. You're bringing in ice cream. You're saying the one thing that is making this more superior is the other thing that's the most superior of the two.
No. It's the ability to be more things than one. I mean, it's the combination, the versatility of cake.
Have you ever had banana cream pie, sir?
Yes.
That's a custard. That's a banana. That's whipped cream. That's not a real thing.
Again,
so we brought in science. We brought in nature. And we brought in custard. We brought in history.
No one celebrates with
General
pie.
Custard. We brought in history.
What do you have for your birthday?
I have banana cream pie.
That's such a lie. That's such a lie.
Not a lie. Everyone calls me a lie because I posted, full disclosure, I posted a poll on my Instagram, asked the question because my girlfriend's a cake person. She makes brown butter cake. She loves cake. It's a little too much. I love pie. So we went to like a pie place, and then we had a debate, an intense argument, and we did a poll. And so the people keep telling me this. This is a good argument, which is if you have cake. I can eat a shitty cake and still be okay. Like, I'll have a shitty cake. I won't eat a shitty pie.
That's another vote for cake.
No, I'm saying that's like the best argument.
Floor of cake is like
that's what I'm hearing. That's the best argument I've heard. But I
will also add this point: when you see a woman who is rather thick, on the lower half,
that was my friend. I had a friend. She shout out to Melissa, who's getting married. Shout out to her. She's getting married. Shout out to Peels. They're getting married in France with 6 people because COVID. But damn. I'll let her know that we shout her out. She said to me, what do you call delicious butts, B? And then the answer was cake.
Cake.
To which my response is also, what do you call pie? Was that just American Pie that did that? I actually have never heard anybody call that. Yeah, no, you're right. No one does that except for American Pie.
If you watched American Pie, you should be grimacing. That's disgusting.
That's actually a good point. That's actually kind of damn. That's a good argument for Cake even further.
Great film series, but I mean, it's terrible activity.
That was that was a horrible. But think about how delicious pie is that a man was willing to fuck it. Let's talk about that. No one's fucking cake, okay? People are fucking pies.
No, because you want to eat it or look at it.
All right.
I mean, it's pretty simple for me.
Let's do. So my cut down bad for this week is LaShawn McCoy, Shady McCoy, who I have a hate relationship with. Because he posted the ending to Iron Man to Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
He posted on his Instagram on his story. He was like, "I can't believe." Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen Avengers, that's your fucking problem. I'm just doing the decent thing. And
he did this years ago, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like, Tony Stark died, right?
After Endgame, yeah.
After Endgame, it was the next day. There were so many people who hadn't seen it. And I was just like, man, what a fucking dick. What an asshole. And I'm not even going to mention the domestic stuff.
Oh, boy.
Right? That's not even what this is about. Let's, But he fucking said, which, by the way, like, Julian Edelman, shout out to you, Short King. Love him. I get it. He's not a Hall of Famer in stats. I don't care. People take this whole Hall of Fame shit way too seriously. But he said that Julian Edelman's not a Hall of Famer, which is fine. I agree with that, the stats. But then he said he pointed to his playoff numbers and he said that's not why, that's not enough. He shouldn't be a Hall of Famer. The playoff shouldn't get you in the Hall of Fame. To which then he said, I am a Hall of Famer. And then he pointed to his playoff numbers as to why he should be a Hall of Famer. Trying to use it, which was like a giant contradiction because you just said that Julian Edelman shouldn't be a Hall of Famer because of his playoff numbers. Therefore, you shouldn't be one either. But he completely missed that, which I thought was really funny. So my caught down bad is LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, I was looking up the one that I'm looking for now on Twitter. I won't name him. I just found it, but. This was on Tuesday. Some member of Padres Twitter was really, or maybe it was Monday, was really excited about the juggernaut that AJ Preller, the San Diego Padres GM, had built. Then they proceeded to lose the next two games very badly to the worst team in baseball. So that guy caught down bad right there. They won today, but
there you go.
That's just a fuck up on his part.
That's two. That's caught down bad and a bad Twitter take. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's two. But yeah, that's the show. Thank you for listening to the show. Subscribe to our show. It makes a difference. It helps us out. Climb the charts. Subscribe. Rate 5 stars. Write a review. Write a good review. Don't write a bad review. Actually, I don't know actually what happens if you write a bad review.
Hit us up on Twitter for the bad reviews.
Yeah. There you go. At Bry_Alonzo. And then we could, just, write whatever you want. I don't care. Just subscribe. I don't give a fuck. Just subscribe. And then we're going to do a YouTube thing. We're going to get on YouTube. Subscribe to that thing too. And then comment on that thing too. Comment whatever the fuck you want.
Just welcome. Bring them.
Yeah, say whatever the fuck you want.
This is America.
This is America. That's right. This country was founded on.
As I'm wearing a Spanish national team jacket.
It's okay. I'm wearing a Trinidad and Tobago hockey shirt. But this country was founded on. I don't think so. Well, actually, this country was founded on. Well, actually, so just subscribe and then fucking let's go from there. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the show.